Yo, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make these 3 viral transition effects in After Effects, so let's just hop right into it. If you guys want to save time while editing, make sure to check out my website. There's tons of really useful editing packs on there that will save you time, which in turn will save you tons of money from your edits. So for this first transition, I'm transitioning from this clip into this clip over here. So firstly, I'll select this layer and use the keyboard shortcut T to bring up my opacity keyframes. And then I'll fade this in at 0 on the first frame, and then 6 frames later, bring this up to 100%. I'll just easy ease those keyframes by pressing F9 once I highlight them. And next I'll add on an adjustment layer. So I'll right click down here, go to new, create an adjustment layer, and I'll add on the effect called Sapphire Warp Puddle. So when you slap it on there, it's going to look like this, which is not what we want. So first thing is we can just drag this red circle out to cover the entirety of the screen. And then over here with frequency, we can bring this down to a much lower value. I find somewhere between 2 and 5 looks the best, and then you can just play with that throughout. So in the middle clip here, I can click on amplitude, and that's going to kind of determine, I guess, how deep these waves are. And you can mess with the height as well, so you can really stretch it out that way. And you can obviously move this around wherever you want. And then you can play with how soft the edges are, if you want them to be extra harsh, or if you want the waves to be a bit smoother. So I'll set the amplitude at whatever value I want in the middle, and then on either end I'm just going to bring it back down to 0 on this end, and then over on this end as well. And so to start off, you've got something that looks like this, which doesn't look good at all. So to get those kind of waves moving how we want them to, we have to use phase start. So over here as well, I'm going to keyframe phase start. And then over here, you can set this keyframe anywhere at first. So I'm just going to set this to kind of go through some waves here. And then if you want to pull up those keyframes that you're setting, just click U for used, and it's going to pull up all of the used keyframes. And then we can drag that keyframe out. And then we can easy ease all of those values together by highlighting them and pressing F9 again. And then we can drag this out as far as we want. And then we can play with these keyframes as well for amplitude. But really the key here is the speed graph. So I'm going to go into the speed graph, and for amplitude, I'm only going to highlight those keyframes, open up the speed graph, which is right here, and then I'm going to start dragging these over like this. And now it's just about playing with it until your heart is content. And I think to really sell the effect is the keyframe that's on the right for amplitude. If you just drag that out as far as you want, and then letting it kind of ease back in, and you get those kind of nice warps on his face in the background. I think that just makes the effect a bit smoother and cleaner, and you kind of get something that looks like this. And then as well, what you can do is you can add on Sapphire Flicker, and you can change the amplitude to something high like 0.8 in the middle, and then obviously bring it back down to 0 on either end. And just like that, you have this type of effect, which I think is really clean. And if you spend lots of time tweaking this, you can just make this look super smooth. And then as well, you could also put this on the background if you wanted to rotoscope out your subject, which could be a crazy effect. So for this next effect, the same thing. I'm going to start off by setting some opacity keyframes, just fading this in like that, real nice and smooth. And then I'll create an adjustment layer and put this on top of my clips. And if you want to pre-compose these to keep these out of the way, you can do that as well. I do that by doing Control-Shift-C, it's just faster. So this is from the Motion Warp preset pack created by Brian Delamata. I'll have that link down in the description if you're interested in this. All you have to do is drag and drop the effect on there, or in my case, I'll just pull up my effects console and type in spiral. Apparently this is that sauce, so you just click on that. And then as well, click U on your keyboard to pull up the used keyframes, and then just drag that over above where you want that effect to happen. And you can drag these out however you want to. However, it's as simple as that. All you do is add on that preset and you get this effect right here. So it's extremely simple, easy to use, very fast, and very useful. Now, this is a super popular shake effect that's used in lots of music videos. So it's called like the Chroma warp shake effect. That's just what I call it. This one is really easy to make as well, and I think it's really clean. So basically, Same thing, you're just gonna fade in that next clip. This time I faded the top one out into the second clip, and all that I'm gonna do is create an adjustment layer, and on this layer I'm gonna add on Distort Chroma, which is a Sapphire plugin. And if you guys don't have Sapphire plugins, what you can do is you can add on turbulent displace and kind of mess with these values, and you can incorporate that into a shake. That's also used quite often. But in this case, I'm just going to be using Distort Chroma. And essentially in the middle of the clip, you're going to set the amount, and then you're just going to increase the blur lens as much as you want. And that's really what creates that effect. And if you increase that amount, you're going to get a heavier chroma effect. And if you increase the blur lens, it's just going to be stretched out a bit more. So I think something right around here looks good. Again, click U for used to pull up my keyframes. And then on either end, bring that back down to 0 again. Now, in this case, we are going to want to mess with the speed graph again. So I'll press F9, or again, right click, go to Keyframe Assistant and click Easy Ease, and then pull up my graph editor. And then I will do this type of a graph, just pulling everything to the center as far as they can go, creating something like that. I find that pushing the left one closer to the middle keyframe and then bringing the right one further away from the middle keyframe looks the best. And I find that this works really well on clips where there's lots of movement and motion. So in this example, Cash Dami is kind of swinging his arms around and the camera is moving like crazy. So it looks like this. So I don't even really feel like there's a need to use a shake right here. So it's kind of like, boom, and I just think it's really clean. I think it just transitions really smoothly into it. And again, if you guys want to support me and these tutorials for you guys, make sure to check out my website where I got tons of useful assets and products that will save you tons of time again. So yeah, I appreciate y'all, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.